you all first and foremost for joining us this evening to just, as we premiere this movie. So we are going to have just a short discussion. It's going to be like 30 minutes. And the aim of this discussion is just to speak to some of the key people who are part of this movie. And so we have our, as our MC has said, we have Ozoamaka. We also have Tolulope, and we have Masood. So Masood is far right, on my right, extreme right, and then Tolu, following, and then I have challenges pronouncing the Nigerian name, so Ozoamaka, yes. So I think I'll start with the movie director, I have a few questions for you, but I'll start off with the very first one. Given that you oversaw the entire production of this movie, explain to us how you were able to just bring the film to fruition.
That's a very long question because we've been working for quite a while. I do wish I had more time and budget, hint. But I'm glad with the reception for the film. It starts for me with thinking about what the core message is, and I start to look into the story for what are the themes we're going to try to get out and to sort of layer the film in multiple ways. I know it's message-based social impact filmmaking, but there have to be characters, there have to be locations, there have to be people, and we have to, as much as possible, deflect people from actually figuring the film out in the first couple of minutes. And so when I do that, I now start the process of looking for the people who come with me on the journey. Then, of course, there are multiple other things, meetings, and yeses and nos and yeses and nos. Then we get the crew, and we're often not given enough time to shoot it. And we film the best we can, and we're going to post with fingers crossed. And I'm glad to see what the stories become and the reception to it. So it's a process, and it just keeps. There's still stuff that still needs to be tweaked. Yes.
Thank you very much. So the next question will go to our lead actress, Ozoamaka. And we've seen that this is not the first movie you're acting in as a reporter. So looking at this role and what made you take it, if you're just to look at it?
Hi everyone. Yes, this is the second film where I play the role of a reporter, and I remember being lucky enough to see the first draft. So, not to take us into any long journey, I read film in school, and I remember writing a thesis on film as an instrument of diplomacy and socio-cultural reaggregation in Nigeria. And having to come across a story like this, it was the message and who we could impact and the kind of changes we could make in our society, in our environment. So that was one of the first things that drew me in and got me so interested. And also finding out the team I would be working with. And we have the incredible Tolu Ajayi, our DOP, Casey Obiajulu, and a lot of other incredible hands. As you know, film is not, you don't create film on an island. It takes an army, and knowing that we have content like this placed in trusted hands in order to translate this message and cause, no matter how little, a change, a spark somewhere, it was everything, basically, yes.
So, thank you very much for that. So that will take me to Masood. Just so you know, Masood was one of the authors of the Londa report, and actually he made a report concerning Ethiopia. So he's played a very major role in this. Just looking at the situation in the country right now, what are the key things that stand out for you when you look at the themes that the movie has brought out?
Thank you very much. I didn't expect this, and I'm very much thrilled to partner with Paradigm Initiative. I'm also very happy that we have these families watching this and supporting this kind of things. So I have to also acknowledge my friend who has done much part of the London report, John. And so the situation of internet governance in this country has two phases, before 2018 and after 2018. And I remember when we were celebrating the World Press Freedom Day in this very Addis, no journalist was in prison. Now we have a lot of journalists in prison. So freedom of expression has very important attachment to the very human dignity. And because we are always advocating for truth, we end up being in problem. And even sometimes, because security people see human rights defenders, journalists, civil societies as going always against them, they always target them. And I mean, because we are speaking the truth, we are always facing the challenge across the globe. So it is not exception here too. So one of the things that we have been indicating was the development of technologies has always come up with way outs. So you see how so it's all about having a very competitive engagement when security people are always striving to change, and we also have to strive for excellence, and that's what we see. And then our bargaining power will be then there, and we're meant there for the people, and security people are supposed to protect us. But in many African countries especially, and maybe Asian or maybe other as usual, security people are supposed to protect us, but we are the number one victims of security people because we are always defending the truth. We human rights defenders, civil society actors, journalists, we have to keep this kind of solidarity, and I really appreciate. And when Benga was opening, he was mentioning Paradigm Initiative's impact, and we have been partnering with Paradigm Initiative as an organization since 2021-22, and we see a lot of things that solidarity can make change. And Benga was here this year, and very, very happy for that. And so, I mean, this story is everywhere in the world. So how can we have the role of Aisha? Who is behind Aisha to protect Aisha? Because Aisha is standing for truth. We all have to come together. We need to show solidarity for each of us. And we have to support organizations like Paradigm Initiative. When Paradigm Initiative was started in 2013 maybe, there were maybe very few brilliant people. But now Paradigm Initiative is across Africa. And I'm sure people from Europe, America, Asia, and other corners of the country are thinking right now, what is the situation of the human rights defenders, digital rights defenders in their respective countries. So I mean, we talk a lot of things, but I really also appreciate how this creative industry is a very powerful tool for advocating what we do. We always talk about some legal issues. I mean, like, people are not really interested to listen, but this is very, very, very much attaching to what we always do. And I'm also very happy that this creative industry sector is also becoming more human rights sensitive, as freedom expression has a very strong alignment with the very human dignity. Thank you.
Thank you for that explanation. So that takes me back to you, Tolu. I know there are several themes that come out in this movie. You see surveillance, and of course, the main story here is about the journalists carrying the truth. You know, so if we just look back at the story, how you developed it, and decided to settle on this, PIN has done 2 other movies. This is the 3rd one. So how did you arrive at this particular story of just having the journalist as the one to be the focus of this particular movie?
Yeah, I neglected to talk about the story development in the last question. So the partners who are part of story, development and creation up in the sky films. So I typically get a story from them, and this is the third, the trilogy started off with a film called Training Day. And Training Day is about a young boy seeking employment, and the company he's going to works for companies that shut down the internet, and they're responsible for a lot of evil things. But he needs the employment. So we now have the conflict of a boy that needs to get paid, and he has to see everything happening from surveillance to everything else. The second film is a film called Focus. Actually, I think we predicted the shutdown of Twitter in Nigeria in Training Day, because our film came 4 months, and one of the things we talked about was perhaps this could happen in Lagos, and it never happened before. And the film came out, and sometime in 2020, we had a Twitter shutdown. Then we made a film called Focus, and Focus was really, because most of these films often target people that are like in the 18s to the 20s. So if it's a bit sensational for you, and we're trying to get people who want to watch and and really enjoy stuff they're familiar with. And so our focus was about a young, youthful guy who seems not to see anything wrong in the society, and he just walks through life vibing on music and not paying attention to stuff that's happening within this context. And the story develops from here. The third one now takes us to the journey of Aisha, who first time we also have an amazing female lead, and she's this impassioned journalist, and we also try to deal with issues of her and her passion, her burning passion for justice and truth telling, and sometimes misinformation as well, because that's another thing we also wanted to look at as a theme. And we there was that, and this story now. Okay, what about the truth tellers and their passion? Are they going down the right course? Are they white rabbits? Or are they essentially going where they should be going? And the story development kind of continues to go on from there. And I'm a servant to the story. So when we say, okay, what do we really want to say here? And what's really crucial to us is ensuring that people are able to understand multiple things, and in between the conflicts, the character choices, and to say, okay, this is something that could happen, and you should keep an eye out for it. I hope I've answered the question somehow. Yes.
Thank you so much. The next question goes to Ozuamaka. Looking at the role you played in the movie and what we're trying to position and put out there, do you feel like you've done justice with what the role you played in this particular movie?
So basically, as an actor, I was so thankful to get a story like this, because I see my line of work as an avenue to also create awareness, and in some sort of way you pass across a message. And film is such a strong medium, it cannot be underestimated. So getting to portray this, someone somewhere could watch something like this and it could spark up a revolution in them. They say, yes, now I should do something about something out there. So I do feel like I played a part, my own way, and hopefully justice. Yes.
So at this juncture, I want us to do this differently. I would like to open the floor to the audience, because it's also important for us to hear what you have to say about the movie and the themes and what is going on in the digital rights and inclusion space. So we'll take a few questions from you and the panel will be able to answer. So anyone?
Like to tell the producer is don't forget about audiences that are not English speakers. It's a very powerful film, and you should consider subtitles or translations. Congratulations.
Thank you. This is a super powerful movie, and I think I come from Pakistan in Asia, and it's a very familiar story, in most parts of the world. What I was wondering about was it deliberate that you had one character who had all this access to the deep web. He had a camera outside his apartment, and sort of he had access to a lot of, so to speak, surveillance also. And him compared with the government or the agents who were at the background using surveillance for their own benefit. So is this a deliberate way of saying that there can be good surveillance versus bad surveillance?
Yeah, yeah, I think from Lagos, it's important to be very paranoid. Like, generally in our society, it's sort of important. And when we're thinking of the character for Duke, who has to be this wizard, I know it's a trope, but he has to be the wizard, and we're tapping into what's happening with financial tech and a lot of young, brilliant people who are coming out and coding and creating a lot of devices that we've never seen before, at least from my time. And the mindset that I've seen within that subset of people who the world is no barrier for them. They have no. We even have like a journalist right now who's just breaking into and just releasing information about people in the government. So there are so many things we're tapping and taking from that, and we're also letting the generation that's super aware and super, tactile with these things know that some of the stuff you guys are up next, sort of. And I feel Duke is a semi-inspirational character because he sort of does have a bit of everything, even though he's a recluse. And he's sort of loosely based on some people who are not just chasing the money, but they also feel that they can do something good in their society, even though they're making money from the biggest telecom companies or creating apps or doing Bitcoin and everything else, and thereby that access. I hope I've answered the question.
Okay, thank you. This is a great film. Excellent. But my question is, why didn't you choose another country, an imaginary one, and not Senegal? Yeah, because cybercrime started like that. It was a movie played by a young boy. It was, I think, Mythic, something like Mythic. I forgot the name. And he succeeded to enter some US systems. And then when President Reagan watched that film, that movie, and said, whoa, is this possible? And then it starts. So now, you take Dakar, Senegal. Someone watched the film, create his artificial intelligence program, and say, I'm going to target Dakar, Senegal. There is no more information coming in and going out. Okay? I think you should choose another country or imaginary one other than Senegal or Dakar. Thank you.
Just want to ask a question. You've produced this amazing thing and you produced 2 previous amazing products. But how do you distribute that? How do you get people to watch it? I know that the first film, at least, Training Day, had 1 million views, which is pretty substantial for this community. If we got 1 million views on literally any report we ever produced, I think I would die and go to heaven. So I just want to know, the apparatus for getting this out there, thinking about the audience. Yeah, and congratulations again.
Congratulations on the film. The message was indeed very important. I was wondering about the decision of using the human trafficking angle. It's in the title. And coming into this, I expected it had something to do with human trafficking. And for the beginning of the movie, that's what the audience thinks. So I'm just wondering about your thoughts about how you came into that decision.
First question, distribution. I'll have to hold brief for Up in the Sky. A lot of it is digital, and that's why the product has to be sticky. It has to be, the target audience would want to share, they want to know. It gives them, and it has to have a lot of intrigue. So, and Training Day was pretty successful because we wanted to put the face of youth over Training Day, and with obviously the socioeconomics of Nigeria, people needing jobs. Or would you make a devil's bargain, if this was all you could do. So for the success of that film, I believe the story was very sticky. I would also speak to the idea of Senegal. I think the Londa P guys have to. The Londa report. They do give us snippets of possible hot zones. So PIN is sort of responsible for. They close their eyes and they spin the globe, and they just spin the globe and they point their finger anywhere. So it sort of goes anywhere. Someone also said we shouldn't use Kenyans. Our brief is to include as many Africans. There's a Cameroonian in the film. There's Ugandan. The lady was actually Ugandan. We try to, as much as possible, even though we're currently shooting in Lagos, and that's we try as much as possible to get everybody on board. The film. To see how can we make it as Pan-African as possible. In the last film, Focus, we actually had a Zoom call from multiple students, and they were all talking about issues happening in their cities as well. So we try to be as inclusive and represent as much of Pan-Africa as possible. And to the last question, so the idea of trafficking is I think is a hot topic, especially for young girls in Africa, and it was the kind of thing I felt the character will be very, and I think was already a creative choice by Up in the Sky, the creative director. So it wasn't certainly my choice, there are a lot of trafficking stories that have come out of, especially in Nigeria. We realized that that was a way people would feel a bit of impassion for the story. And again, like you guys know, like just telling people digital rights is not. It's pretty hard. You have to kind of, breadcrumbs in the forest kind of thing. So people have to sort of want to follow the story with something that they really like, and we just wanted to do that and just be able to let people see hot issues, probably using other hot issues.
Thanks for that, Tolu. I'll respond to the question of distribution. So we plan to go wide. Like first and foremost, we're also focusing on the 6 countries where PIN has presence: Kenya, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Senegal, DRC. So we're looking at those countries. Also, we want to go global. And that we use the digital platforms that we already have. So we plan to go that direction as well. And then, of course, just focus on the different audiences that we have, because we'll target these audiences and then just distribute according to these audiences, especially in the digital space. So what we've done before, we've been distributing across Nigeria as well. And that in the previous movies, that was also our focus mainly, whereby we went out of home, we used the buses, we used the television stations on ground. But now we want to expand this, because now we have viewers across the region and also across the continent. So it's just to push it as much as we can in different platforms. Also, we have several platforms whereby they screen movies. So we also plan to launch onto them and just utilize those. And then we also have film festivals. So how do we leverage on that? We have community watches. How do you leverage on that? So it's just, we want to go as far wide as we can with the platforms that we have and with the partners that we have, because we also intend to work with our partners to have watch parties. And then we also plan to have a virtual launch on 9th of December, which coincides with the Human Rights Day. So we want to do that as well. So the plan is just to go as heavy and wide as we can, using our different platforms, our partners, the media houses across the regions, and then just to see how wide we can get. Thank you.
Thank you. So we are always advocating for inclusion. And inclusion is inclusion. And my recommendation is to have sign languages as well. Because we are always trying. I mean, like, we are all telling you this because you did a very wonderful job, and because we want this to be seen by everyone. This is a very powerful product, and the power comes from the perspective of inclusion. And we are always advocating for digital rights inclusion. Digital rights are human rights. They are always and they are and have been seen as security issues. And it's no more security. It is about right. It's about inclusion. So when we make it inclusion, we have to make it full. And maybe if we have some sign language for the other languages also, I mean like French, maybe Arabic and other local languages, we partners of Paradigm Initiative can take that, because the burden shouldn't be on Paradigm Initiative. They are doing a great job and we all have to help them. And at least when we have country programs, when we are hosting, we have to take a share, because they are doing what we are supposed to do. I mean, we have to take really as each of us job. For instance, for the Asia, for the Pakistan, you have to take this film and then have subtitles in your local languages. That way we can have more awareness creation. And these art things are also very, very powerful things that we recently discovered. And thank you. I'm also planning to connect you with Ethiopian artists. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for watching our film, Finding Diana. I hope it resonated in one way or the other with you, and yeah, help spread the word, and that's share hashtag Finding Diana. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
This is my first time in Addis Ababa, so I want to say a big thank you to the IGF for having me. Our Paradigm Initiative. Thank you so much. Thank you for the warm reception. I want to thank you, for the reception of the movie. I'm super nervous all the time, so thank you for it. And yes, please, by all means, please just help us spread the movie. I think I think the film deserves to be seen by more people. Thanks so much, everyone. Thank you. And dinner. Thank you.
Great. Masood, do you have any closing words?
I would really thank you. And we are very happy to host you here. And I hope you had a very wonderful time and you'll have wonderful time ahead of the next sessions. I will give my contacts to some of you so that we can have more connections. And because of digitalization, we are in one community. Now you are in Addis Ababa. So stay safe. Stay relaxed at this very safe town, and you are in safe hands. I thank you.